Yeah, we got the vibe on deck, bro. Four dope brothers talking sports, so let's go. If you could just imagine some dudes into music get together to talk trash about whose teams is losing. So here we go. D Turner, John Lane, Trey Illy, J Hill, the MVP, according to his theory. So now what? They got their mics and gizmos. Podcast rapper for DC, what it is, Mo. Yeah.
Welcome to Sports and Things, a weekly podcast where we go in depth on sports and music topics of the week. Featuring John Lane, Trey Ely, Jay Hill, and host Dennis Turner.
Hey, man, y'all look beautiful, man. God damn, it's packed in here.
Hands in the sky one time, y'all.
Yo, it's right now in a place to be. We can't put on sitting on PJD. Don't let me see you touch the sky. Let me see you wave your hands up high.
JDilla, chasing paper, blazing up in this bitch. We raise the stakes up a little bit and shut shit down. Told you the close shit is over. Put your hands up, that's what you need to do. Plus niggas got game like a PS2. It's cavalry off and here about to set it. Things look short, you hear about to let it go.
Back and forth like a big old ass. I'm a macro course, that's a big old ass. Got me up in this mother. I am in this motherfucker.
LLA, the man, the myth, the plan is to get to grands. It's all that they wanna get that. It's that clouded. Niggas thinking they hot, but it's not this. It's stay hard, looking for holes. This one's just looking at hard, I'm looking for those. So they can shake their ass for us. Told y'all and McNasty trust.
Yo, we got bitches, we the butts. We go with the fall guy, y'all leaders nuts. The players is out here doing the thing. I told y'all what McNasty brain.
It's sketch though, we all chase the thriller. Bet your ass that it's not the cave. We real ghetto with the bill. Flawn, Phil, hitting them hard with the bars that I'm spitting.
It's crazy Jake, you know what it is. Rocking over tracks, one nigga jail in. Cause we are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
It's straight JDilla, chasing paper, blazing up in this bitch. We'll raise up the stakes.
We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
It's Frank Tank and JD, the collabing with Mad Lib.
We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
And we get dirty like we bread and crispy. Get away your pride, we get busy with the plan. Plan is bad, living. JDilla, Frank, and I'm at it again. And we got those chickens, plus the flows is sick. And known for the flipping, hoes blow the dick when I hop. Dollars top, dollars hop. Hopping in and out of 2,000 plus candies and blazing the end zone. Taking that booming system cheap. Volume beats, tall and deep. Crawling, we ballin'. Told y'all before not to play me out. The game getting cake and rockin' chains. Making niggas there. D-10s, beating, taking the game like this. See, nigga,
Whack niggas, don't take to the back. Cause we all up in here, don't know how to react.
yo, we are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
All ladies, go straight to the front. Cause we real paralytic. You know what?
We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker. And we need everybody to say this shit one time. We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker. One more time, JC. One more time. Let's go. Go.
And welcome to Sports and Things, everybody. This is well, first off, I want to say thank you guys for all coming on and being a part of this 2-day extravaganza we have planned. We were talking about this on Sports and Things for about 2-3 months. So with that being said, let me first introduce the cast of Sports and Things for those who haven't seen our show or heard our show. I'm the host, Dennis Turner. Trey Ely, put your hand up, say something. Yo, what up?
Yo.
Jay Hill.
Yeah.
Wow. And John Lane.
Yo, can
You
y'all
getting it all
hear me?
tonight. You getting it all tonight.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Because you went to AirPods.
I've had more issues with my computer in the last 5 days than I have in the last 5 years.
Yeah, we got to GoFundMe for John's Mac.
I've been
Yeah, so,
yeah. I need a Kickstarter
That's
and a GoFundMe,
hilarious.
man.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Well,
After
it
the
works
show,
out because
we are
everybody on
firing
sports
Joe's
things is in the
engineer.
middle, going down the middle of the panel. So let me explain to you guys first what sports things is, and then I'll explain to you why we're doing this particular event. Sports and Things was created by myself and the three guys going down the middle of the panel. It's a sports podcast where we're musicians who love sports and we talk sports, and we have an end things section where we talk about entertainment and anything else that's crucial or important to us. And
unfortunately, we share a love of Washington D.C. sports.
No. You see my shirt.
That is unfortunate.
Like,
Unfortunately,
I do got a Washington football.
This is my man cave, just so you know.
yeah,
Right.
he's actually at Capital One Arena.
Yeah, I live at Capital One Arena.
Yeah. That's why he was late. Anyway, so
Hey,
There's a lot of losing going on in that building.
Roddy's not allowed to chime in because he's from Boston. That's Championship City, so he can't say nothing.
And Munch.
No.
And
Wait.
And Munch.
Roddy, I got you.
This ain't what this show is about. This is just and things.
Yeah, this is anything. And secondly,
Not sports.
Los
We got
Angeles won
numbers,
last year. We're tied, so be quiet.
This dude.
All right, so we decided to do this podcast because for 10 years, we started in 2006 when at the untimely death of James JDilla Yancey, they decided to do a fundraiser concert to celebrate his life, celebrate his music, and that was created by Munch, John Lane, and DJ Roddy Rod, who are on this panel today. So we wanted to take a time to set aside a time apart from that, talk about our experiences and what that show meant and what JDilla meant to us as well. So that's what we're doing this for. And with that, I want to introduce the panel. So it looks like the Brady Bunch too. This is amazing.
It does.
So
It does.
I'm gonna start with the ladies first. We have the amazing Deborah Bond on the panel with us today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GB.
DJ Roddy Rod, amazing producer on the panel as
Low
well.
budget.
There you go. DJ Two Tone as well.
Tone Jones.
The golf.
Aaron Harden. He doesn't have a DJ name. Do you have a DJ name?
Nah, not at all.
Okay.
And last but not least, right. Last but not least, Munch, who was one of the creators of the show. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it, and then I'm gonna hand it over to Trey. Trey's gonna mediate this or moderate this whole thing, and then
I
we're
hope
gonna,
it ain't
we're
nothing
gonna
to
keep
mediate, bro.
You never know.
Problems.
It's
Never
a
know.
peaceful gathering.
more money, more problems, motherfucker. And it's gonna be loose. We're gonna keep this really loose, but we have some questions, and if you have questions, you can ask us, and we'll try to get your questions in there as well. So, without further ado, Trey Ely, which is also not his real name.
Oh wow!
Dang, we going there already?
So as you can see, we're doing this sports and things style. For those who are familiar with the show, those who aren't, we're loose, we're fun, we laugh, we joke, we definitely roast each other. So I just got roasted anyway. Just to say real quick, you know, I was pre-gaming for this today, listening to some Dilla, and you know, I'm just going through his catalog, and man, what a super producer! How many hits? How many dope songs? How many tracks? It's just like Dilla's just dope. I think no one on this panel needs to be convinced of that, but you know, a lot of people who are watching may not be hip, so we might be hipping some people to some things. Without further ado, we're going to get into the questions because we have a lot to talk about. So first, we're going to talk about the origins of the DC Loves Dilla, set concert series. And I have a question that I'm going to throw to a couple of the guys here, and I want to start out with Munch, and you take the first stab at this. So Munch, and John and Roddy, feel free to jump in and chime in. Like I said, sports and things is loose and fun, so we don't have to be all stiff and structured here. We can just talk. So with that being said, Munch and all, how did DC Love Dilla start?
DC Loves Dilla started, it was 2006. and Dilla had just passed, and John reached out to me and said, we got to do something for Dilla. And I had been familiar with Dilla. Actually, it's funny because I don't know if it's funny, but Jatai, who's like the homie, he's like
photographer
DC
queen. Photographer king.
DC Gordon Parks.
Yeah, he actually put me onto it through the J88 stuff, and from that I was hooked because I think I was going to LA for something, and as soon as I hit LA, I went to the record store like looking for J88 shit, and so ended up picking that up, and that was it from that point. But yeah, I mean, John reaching out, and I think all of us had this shared passion for, because we're all music people. We're all producers, DJs. Like that's DJing is where I got to start. Between that and like playing classical music, that we're just all music folks, and I think that's what really we all gravitated to, and it was just really easy to celebrate somebody whose music resonated with us, and that's pretty much it. I think our first show was at well, it's not there anymore.
Mirrors.
Live.
Mirrors.
Was it Mirrors? Yeah. Was it Mirrors
New York
first?
Ave.
Mirrors.
It was Mirrors.
Yeah, Mirrors was the first one.
Yeah, because you had
Gumbo joint, right?
Yep.
It was Pookie's Gallery.
Pookie's Gallery.
Yep,
New York
that's
Avenue.
Yeah, because we were doing. Yeah, you're right. So we're doing Mirrors, which unfortunately is no longer there. Really dope venue though. And shit. I mean, I think the first one started out with the whole, it was Slum. Yeah, it was Slum, and
we had a whole rack of people on there.
It was TL's and
yeah, T3 and LZI. Yep.
Yeah, because by then I think it had already passed.
Yep. Yeah.
And yeah, it was dope, man. Like the energy was dope, man. And we pretty much did it because we were hearing a lot of stuff about medical bills and blah blah blah, and insurance not taking care of my dudes and family, and so we were just like, well, let's also make sure we look out in that way too, and that was pretty much it from there. And we rocked for 10 years straight.
I was the first I had heard of Dilla's passing. Actually, Roddy called me. I was doing a gig in Philly. Roddy called me. He was like, "Yo, man, he passed away," and he had done. I think Roddy, you had already done a tribute, or you had seen a tribute or something like that, and then you hit me. You were like, "Yo, we're doing a DJ tribute, man, but you need to put something together with a live band." And
right.
I was like, that's actually a really good idea.
The first
why would
ever,
you? But why, Roddy? Like, why would you think a live band? Like, everybody does the DJ shit. That's a lot of shit to put together, man.
All right, so I'm not taking credit for the live band stuff. I'm gonna tell you how it kind of came about. We wanted to do a tribute, and peace out to DJ Quartermain, Daryl Francis, who started off with securing the Science Club for the club that we were going to do the event for. Me, John Lane, Kev Brown hosted it, and that was the first ever Dilla tribute. That was actually March of 2006.
2006,
yep. And John Lane DJ'd, I DJ, Kev Brown hosted it, and there was a brother that was there from Baltimore named Tislam the Great, and he had access. He had direct access to Miss Yancey. So that night we actually called Miss Yancey at the club, at the event. And the whole crowd, kind of gave it up, and she actually talked through the phone to the mic. And wow. And that's the first time like we actually did a tribute, and we sent all the proceeds of that night to her. So then we continued to do it, and I think that's when and correct me if I'm wrong, John, that's when Subsonic, the show that was on XM Radio, got involved, and we did That was the first band show, which was at XM Radio.
Yeah, that was the year after.
Which
that was the year after. Yeah.
Right. And it was Pete Rock.
I didn't know that.
It was
that
Pete
was the
Rock,
one with
Talib
like Pete Rock,
Kweli,
yeah,
and
Miss Yancey.
That was the first one I was on.
Down, and that was the first one with the band. It was Allison Carney. You know, that was the first ever Dilla band DC event. And then
because the first one at Mirrors had the band, but we didn't call it DC Loves Dilla at the time.
Right.
It was under another name.
Okay.
We had to change the name.
I also wasn't in that band. I was on the side watching. I played like the last 2 songs.
That's right.
I guess you had to point that out, huh, Dennis?
Yeah, dude.
Right. No,
you weren't allowed. You weren't allowed at the cool table yet.
The first bass player was Hamilton, was this dude Hamilton Hayes that I went to Howard with. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I called a plethora of musicians that I knew to do this thing, not thinking that much was going to get Slum Village. And it's actually kind of funny because our set was nearly 2 hours long, and when we got off stage, T3 came up to me. He's like, "Man, y'all just did all our hits. We don't need to perform." I'm like, "Sorry." I mean, it's a Dilla tribute. So it was amazing.
I remember being on the side like the dude from 5 Heartbeats when the dude's playing the piano. Like just waiting. I was on the side just waiting to play.
Yeah, but that was the first XM show. Was the very first DC Loves Dilla band show. You know, and Pete Rock was there. Like I said, Talib Kweli. Like it was that was a dope show. And then from that love, I think I remember hitting you, John. It was like we were so in awe because it was the first time Miss Yancey was in DC, and y'all the players were doing "Fuck Police," and Miss Yancey. The first time we saw Miss Yancey to the side, word for word, my brother.
She
word
recited the whole joint,
the whole song, and I was like, "Yo, this is the most incredible shit ever." I remember hitting John. I was like, "Yo, did you hear that?"
Yeah.
And that's how it started. That's how it started.
John, I just wanted to point out there's flute on that song, by the way.
Yeah,
that's an inside joke, sports and things joke.
There'd be flute on "Fuck the Police" of all songs.
Right.
Kind of jives with the whole angry Trey narrative, huh?
Yeah, it does.
I should have been there.
I know how you feel, Dennis. I know how you feel, bro.
I got you.
Listen.
Yeah.
Right,
so anyway, cool. Yeah. So this question I'm throwing out to everybody. So I'll answer it first. So when did you first hear a Dilla track? I will say I don't exactly remember, but the first thing I can recall is Far Side. What is it? Can't Keep Running Away or whatever that. The Running. Yeah, the Far Side. That's the first thing I can remember because I'm a little bit younger than some of you guys. I was a kid when that song came out. John was about 40 when that came out.
Yeah. About 40.
I was waiting.
43.
We doing already?
Deborah and I were a lot younger.
John was 75 years old when Dilla came out.
75.
So yeah, anyway, in all seriousness, just whoever jump in. When did you all first hear your first Dilla track? Just to
How
your
about ladies first?
Yeah. All right, Deborah.
It's the same song. It's Running, and that song from my particular storyline growing up up north in Connecticut. I just that sound was a part of my life. So the crazy thing was I didn't know anything about JDilla at that time. When that song was out, I was all about Far Side. I didn't know anything about JDilla and like the magic that he added to the tracks. So for me, it took a good while for me to realize like shit, like a good chunk of what I am into is all JDilla. Like I didn't know for a minute.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
as like a quote unquote R&B neo soul thinker.
Exactly.
I was really just like I rocked with what felt good to me, and you always have the specific type producers that you know who they are in R&B, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Babyface, all this stuff. But there's like a pocket in time for me when I was kind of coming into my own and trying to figure out who I was as a singer and Erykah Badu and Bilal and all these. I didn't know.
Right.
the sound that was really inspiring me to even jump out there and do what I was gonna do was really the sound of JDilla. So
Yeah.
it's that first memory is running, but it really is not about running for me. It's about like, contributions to like D'Angelo's work and
Mm.
Badu's work that I did. And then I was like, the light hit me like, oh, this man is he's amazing. This is like the kind of music that I've been wanting to, perform forever. So it's like I feel like I had two waves of him. I had a wave of him before I knew who he was, and then when I got hip, it was like all this other music that up to me that he did. So,
Right. Right. So I'll add, I wasn't hip either, when I first heard that. Anybody else want to jump in, fellas?
Haven't heard from Aaron or
Yeah,
T-Tone.
go ahead, Aaron.
So same, man. I honestly speaking, "Running" was the first song that I heard from Dilla. Now, what I'll say is, I don't think it was the most impactful first song that I heard of his. Like I was
Preach.
that was an entry. That was like an entry point to me. I was a Far Side fan,
Right.
but like the song cool. But when Drop came out, like a few months later,
It was
that
over.
was a whole different story.
It was over.
Yeah, at that point it was different. So, like I said, first song that I heard was definitely "Running." The first impactful song that I heard where it was like, yo, this shit is wow. It was definitely Drop.
Mm.
Yeah, I think
Changed the game.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
The first time
Roddy.
I heard "Slummed," it was 1999, and I was actually overseas, and it was the single that was "I Don't Know," and then on the other side was "Fantastic."
Oh yeah,
And
that joint. Yeah, that record.
I remember when I heard it, where they, Dilla chopped the James Brown "I Don't Know" cut into this crazy beat, and I remember calling back into the States to my cousin, like, "Yo, have y'all heard the Slum Village?" And nobody heard the Slum Village. And then I used to do like security and stuff for like all the artists that used to come from over, from the States to Japan, and I ended up meeting Planet Asia. And
Oh,
Planet
wow.
Asia, we kind of got to know each other throughout the tour. And then I was like, "Yo, you ever heard of JDilla?" And he was like, "Yo, I did, but nobody else know. How you know about JDilla?" And that was that's how I started going down the rabbit hole. He had stuff that I didn't have, and I had stuff that he didn't have. But yeah, that was the first time. That single was the first time I heard JD's work and rhyming too.
Yeah, I think. I know it's hard. Yeah, it's hard not to pick "Running" as like the first joint. But I actually, I think technically because this song came out, if I'm not mistaken, before maybe earlier in the year, "Running" did. But I had a friend back in high school who randomly like had this CD. I don't know where he got it from, what inspired him to pick it up. But he was like, "Yo, I got this joint from this artist. It's kind of like alternative, whatever." But he's like, "Yo, there's this one track on here I really like," and he played it for me. And wasn't rhyming or anything like that. And it was an artist by the name of Poe, and there was a track called "Fingertips," and it was a one track like that. The only track he actually was like, "Yo, this one track right here I really dig." And yeah, just the way the production was, the beat was, I just remember like, yeah, I could vibe with this right here. And of course, it wasn't until probably maybe like 7-8 years later that I found out that Dilla produced that joint. But that came out, I think, the same year as "Running" did. But yeah, like everybody else, "Running" and "Drop" and "Splatatorium," some of those joints off of that second album.
Yeah.
And then I don't think it still wasn't to the point where I was like really, digging into who the producer was. I definitely saw the album credits, but definitely by 96, the next year, his name was a name I started looking for. And when he started doing more of the Uma production stuff, that it got to the point where like I was seeking out, anything by him. So yeah, that was, like I said, around that "Running" Far Side time for me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, same for me.
just to kind of like in the same vein as Deborah, like because I was an R&B dude and I loved hip hop as well. Right. At that time. So for me, it was like, running was there, but you know, it was like later on because you don't pay attention to that. I'm listening to all of it together. I'm not listening to what they're over top of, or I'm not just listening to the rhymes. So like when Erykah Badu came out and it was like, oh, okay, you starting to feel it. Like, that's nice. Oh, that's the same person that did that. Whoa. Then you start to put it all together and it's like Aaron said, I don't know what the most impactful one was as far as running, but I mean, that wasn't the most impactful one, but that one was stood out there because it was mainstream radio also at the time. So that was the one we was getting. The video, that was when the video was hot. So everybody was playing that every 5 minutes. So of course that was beaten to your head, but it was the like Rob was saying, it was the undercover joints that was like, oh, I didn't know that was the same dude too. Damn, okay. So then you start to see, oh, it's some heat right here. So I think running was it, but it wasn't the most impactful one.
Yeah, same for me. By the way, before I say my part, I think it bears mentioning the guests and what their role was in DC Loves Dilla. So Deborah was a featured singer for the show. Jay Hill was a supporting vocalist and featured singer. Roddy and Two Tone were the DJs. Aaron was the keyboardist, and I was the drummer. And of course, Munch was the producer and curator of the event. And Dennis played bass.
And I was in the audience.
And Trey played flute.
Trey played audience member number one.
Yeah, I was in the audience.
I was a sub.
I will say running was very impactful for me only because of where I was musically. I was at I was in college studying jazz, but I was a huge lover of hip hop, and I was at a point where I felt like a lot of the hip hop I was listening to, like Gang Starr and Public Enemy, was starting to filter into the underground scene, and a lot of mainstream rap was becoming more and more popular. So I felt discouraged because I wasn't really liking a lot of the mainstream rap. So I was on my way to class, and it's kind of a funny story because I knew that as I was pulling into the parking lot of my college campus, it took me 7 minutes to get from the parking lot to my class. And on this particular day, I was early. So I pulled into the parking lot, found a parking spot, and running came on the radio. And it was like, my class started at 7:10 and it was like 7:03. And I was like, oh shit. So I was like, I'm just going to have to be late. And I listened to the whole song and just showed up late to my class. And as soon as class got out, I went to Tower Records and I bought the album. And from that point, I was completely sold.
What John didn't tell you, that was 1968.
Yeah, he also
Martin Luther King.
He's lying, man. He's lying. Martin Luther King, you never know JDilla.
So
I went to school with Dilla's dad.
Am I last? I didn't. I think I'm the last
Dennis,
one.
I don't think we've heard from Munch either.
We didn't hear from
Munch.
Munch either.
Munch. Yeah, Munch go.
What was the question?
How old is John?
I think I answered it. I think I answered it already. But you know what? Hearing everybody else talk, it reminded me that, like a lot of people, we loved his music, but we didn't necessarily know who it was.
Right.
So, like, I got put on to J88, but that was like when it was Dilla's group. But just like everybody else, it was like Running and Drop. Yeah. Those are the two joints that introduced me to Dilla. I didn't know at the time who it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
And I got some bad cleanup. So
Dennis.
Like everybody else, Running was the first one I think I heard that was like make you kind of twitch and like, oh, what's that? But my boy Leon Paul, aka DJ Jimmy Fingers, I was at his house one time. It was like 2000, maybe 2005, and he was just spinning records, and he played. I can't remember the record he played, but it made me stop what I was doing, and be like, "Yo, what was that?" He was like, "Oh, you don't know who JDilla is?" I was like, "Who?" He was like, "Bro," and he just sat me down for like 3 hours, to play records.
Get out of my house.
Right. He just sat me down, and he just went through all this stuff. And I remember leaving there feeling like it was this feeling of like uncertainty about my own musicality. I was just like, I didn't know what was happening. I was just like, I questioned everything that I went to school and studied. It's just like, so if you just put the drums behind the beat a little bit, it's like, oh, I just clicked. And, I was like, and then John, when we started doing the show, we were doing one of the rehearsals, and John played a song, and I was trying to get it on the show every year because he called it Dilla, Michael Jackson's throw track.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was like, it sounded like Michael Jackson throwing up, and I was like, what? And he's like, if you listen, he's like, what? And I was like, yo, we need to play that song. Machine. Yeah, it was, he chopped dance machine. I was like, yeah. So those are the ones that were like really. I mean, it's unfair to say which ones were like, you know, most impactful, but like those are some of the ones that kind of stuck out to me.
All right, dope. So we're gonna move on to the next question, and with respect to time, we'll probably want to be brief on this one. Just a little side note or a little inside note. I don't know if we've ever said this on the air, but John Lane is not only a drummer, but he's our timekeeper. So Sports and Things is a primarily sports podcast where we do talk about music in the second segment, and this special is all about music. But we are musicians to the core. Where here we have a very good drummer in John, and he actually keeps time for us as we go through the podcast.
Don't even look at the clock. He don't.
Yeah,
he don't
he
look
doesn't
at the
even
clock.
need to look at the clock. He's like, it's been about, it's time to stop.
2 minutes left.
Yeah. Stop talking. Yeah, so if it looks like I'm looking at my phone or looking over here, I'm looking at production notes and things. I'm looking at notes from John telling me to hurry up, slow down, whatever to do, because John's got the time locked.
Maybe I should rest
It's funny because I'm looking at Aaron Hart, and he's like, "You didn't know the time during rehearsals."
I love it.
Because I remember
Aaron.
Hey, look, Aaron had to travel the farthest, man. Aaron, I felt bad too.
He did.
He had to travel the farthest.
Taking that ride.
Yeah, Aaron used to live. He used to live in
and drive
then drive home right after it.
Right. He used to travel from the UK over here for every gig.
Drive from the UK. Drive.
I got this boat, land boat,
man. Okay, so yeah, with this whole time thing, we'll keep it moving. So briefly, everyone, speak on the rehearsals and your experience learning the music. So that's a good segue talking about Aaron. So I guess we'll start with Aaron. You could talk about the lengthy and late rehearsals. Learning music.
So I can talk about learning the music. I had 4 hours round trip to do that. So guaranteed that I had a full opportunity to take a listen to everything we were going to do. But the rehearsals, more than even just learning the music, like we wound up being a very close-knit unit. Over the years that we've come together, it was always familiar faces, and so as much as we rehearsed together, it was definitely time to build with one another, and we would lock in. I was late, kind of into the DC Loves Dilla camp, and so y'all were already in motion. But by the time that I kind of caught up, for the most part, we would add a couple of new songs here and there, but it was just clockwork. So it would be just us reconnecting, and making everything happen. So it was always a good experience. Even those late nights, getting back home at 3 a.m.
My bad.
God bless John Lane.
He's like, I'm sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. So next, how about Jay Hill? Jay, talk about the rehearsals. I know you got a story for us. Brief story.
All right. I don't have a story per se, but to me, it was confusing because when you first get into his catalog, it's only like a minute and a half to 2.5 minute song. So it's not a lot to it from my standpoint. But what happens is John dissects the shit all the way down to I don't even know like what degree that is. But he's like, no. And the thing is, the thing about it is him behind a drum set, listening to horns, listening to keys, he will stop shit. Yo, you missed the I'm sorry, the what? It's a and go, hold on, let me start up from the top. See, you missed that. What? And you're like, yo, this is bananas, like as far as the detail. But as much as we had one night to get it, really, because we usually only had one rehearsal, which was probably 2 to 3 days before the event, so you could sit home with it. When we hit that stage, as much as all of us are familiar with jamming together where ain't really no structure, even when you got up there out in the audience, as much as they thought we was having fun, it was so precise that it was unreal, that we knew we were having fun with it, because you weren't really missing much. And even if you did, it was, the energy was just there. It was like, damn, I missed that, didn't I? Shit. I get it next year. Though. So that's all you can do. That's all you can do.
If I may interject with Jay or piggyback on what Jay's comment was, because Jay said one rehearsal, and I was like, wait a minute, I went to 37 rehearsals. I don't know what you mean one rehearsal. We were at rehearsal every night for like 2 weeks.
Right.
100%.
We were.
But the real part about it was, to piggyback on what Jay said, John's ear for what needed to happen with the music was impeccable. And also he gave us space as artists to be creative with the music, which a lot of people might be like, that they might frown upon that because we're not playing the songs verbatim. But like after, like Jay said, after like 2 of the sample or the beat, you have a group of musicians on stage that are in tune with one another, talented, and they are able to move off each other. So we were able to like take those songs and expand them or expound upon them a little bit. And that, I think that was a testament to his direction as a musical director, to have the foresight to pick the people who would be able to work together and work off each other. So the rehearsals were cool. Like they were long, but it was
they were long.
We get to Georgetown University, we in there at 7 and you get out like 2:30. And it's like, but it was worth it. Like it made sense when you got on stage, all the uncertainty that you felt. Like I think the DC Loves Dilla show is, as a professional, it was one of the only moments that I've ever felt like nervous about to go on stage since I've been a professional. Because it's like, it's a lot of music, it's a lot of people who know that music. And like, if you mess up, it's like, but like, even when you play the intro music, when the intro music was played, it's a lot of embellishing happening. But the first 30 to 30 seconds to a minute is like we're playing the songs as is, so you get the authenticity of it, and then you get to be creative with it too. So that was pretty cool.
Dope.
So hats off to John Lane.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're
welcome. Bora, and can you do me a favor and really get into the mic there? Little producer talk there.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna be real. I had the most amazing, fun rehearsal role of all of y'all, because I was the girl that just showed up real quick and was out.
Let's go.
Experience, because I also had a day job, and so I was always like, I just came from work. I'm gonna go to Georgetown, so it was cool for me to jump in. And I have to agree with Jay Hill and Dennis about John, just the attention to detail. And like, for me, I felt kind of like I knew I was safe just showing up. If I knew what I had to do, I knew that you guys knew what you had to do. So rehearsal experiences for me were kind of like boom, boom, in and out. And then, but the coolest part of it that you guys all brought up is that, like, I can think of one specific show, like I was able to just kind of like jump off the ledge and just try some shit for the audience that was off script or off rehearsal. And, and the band was with me, everybody was with me. So that safety net for me, just right from the top of joining the whole DC Loves Dilla world, it was just great, because I knew I could just, as an artist, just kind of like be an artist. I could just show up and just be ready to sing what I wanted to sing. And the fellas and everybody was with it, sing the backgrounds, everybody was with it. And so it was, for me, it was like kind of just ready to get on the ride.
All right. So before we go to break real quick, I want to hear from one of the DJs. So hey Roddy, so from
I
your
had to rehearse
perspective.
nothing.
Yeah,
Just come spin records.
I wasn't going to
Wow,
say
hold on.
that.
Hey,
I
what
wasn't
turntable
gonna-
had to rehearse them? What turntable must be rehearsed?
John and Rodney came to rehearsal.
From your
Easy,
perspective,
fellas.
let him talk. From your perspective, from a DJ's perspective, how was rehearsal?
Mhm. I mean, so I know John Lane very well, and I know how meticulous he is about Dilla. Like John, it could have been a better person to kind of man those sessions, like John, because even before we had this thing about Dilla, we always loved, and John, as a producer, he knew how to create every single piece to make it as realistic as possible. And I think the same way with us DJing, like we talked about this when we did the first Dilla event, that we didn't want to play anything. We didn't want to focus on just like his beats. We wanted to kind of play everything out, but we knew that we just wanted to play only his stuff and nothing else. And we didn't want to like showboat it. We just wanted to play it out so people could enjoy it. The songs as they are, the sequences as they are. So to recreate those sequences, sometimes it doesn't go. Like a 16 bar might cut at 12, and
That was
John knew exactly when those things kind of in place. Me and Two Tone as DJs, we knew songs verbatim, so it was easy for us because we just followed the song. So it was like scratches or whatever, knew exactly where, because of John like keeping chord to the songs that Dilla created, like that made our job easy. So
The crazy,
yeah,
the craziest part to me was you could have had an NPC to do all the sounds that you needed, but you got real people. That's the shit that made it phenomenal for me.
As
Yes,
everyone
you
can
gotta-
see,
I mean-
Jay Hill's excited.
I
Excited
am,
about
man.
this.
This shit was epic, man. This shit was epic for
Body
real.
keep playing Dilla. I mean, come on. Different
You
energy.
know?
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah.
Should be.
All right. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break right off of Jay Hill's enthusiasm. But you, audience, is not going to take a break. You're going to check out some footage that we have to show you from the show, from past shows and that sort of thing. And we'll be right back. Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all so much.
Hey, man, y'all look beautiful, man. God damn, it's packed in here.
Hands in the sky one time, y'all.
Yo, it's right here with a place to be. We can't playing on sitting on PJD. Don't let me see you touch the sky. Let me see you wave your hands up.
JDilla, taste the paper, blazing up in this bitch. We raise the stakes up a little bit and shut shit down. Told you the close shit is over. Put your hands up, that's what you need to do. Plus niggas got game like a PS2. It's cavalry off and here about to set it. Things look charged and here about to let it go.
Back and forth like a big old ass. I'm a macro course, that's a big old ass. Got me
myth. The plan is to get the grants. It's all in it when I get that. It's that clouded. Niggas thinking they hot, but it's not this. It's stay hard. Looking for holes. It's ones that's looking at hard. I'm looking for those. So they can shake their ass for us. Told y'all and McNasty trust.
Yo, we got vision, we the blunts, we go with the fall guy, y'all leaders nuts. Got players that's out here doing the thing. I told y'all what McNasty brain is.
It's sketch though, we all take the thriller. Bet your ass that it's not the cake. We real ghetto with the filth. Flawn, filth. Hitting them hard with the bars that I'm spitting.
It's Crazy J, you know what it is. Rocking over tracks, my nigga jam in. Cause we are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
It's Frank Dilla, chasing paper, blazing up in this bitch. We'll raise up the stakes.
We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
It's Frank taking JD's, he collabing with Mad Lib.
We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
And we get dirty like we bread and crispy. Get away your pride, we get busy with the plan. Plan is bad, living. JDilla, Frank, and I'm at it again. And we got those chickens, plus the flows is sick. And known for the flipping, O's blow the dick when I hop. Dollars drop, dollars hop. Hopping in and out of 2,000 plus candies and blazing the end zone. Making that booming system cheap. Volume beats, tall and deep. Crawling, we ballin'. Told y'all before not to play me out the game. Getting cake and rockin' shades, making niggas there. D-10s, beating, taking the game like this. See, nigga,
what niggas don't take to the back. Cause we all up in here, don't know how to react.
Yo, we are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
All ladies, go straight to the front. Cause we real paralytic. We don't want so hard.
We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker. Everybody say this shit one time. We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker. One more time, TC. One more time.
Go. We are in this motherfucker. We are in this motherfucker.
Peace. Yeah.
All right. So I guess we're back. We're back here on Sports and Things podcast. But this is a special edition where we're doing the DC Loves Dilla panel discussion. And before we get into the next segment, which is called Turn It Up, which is directed at everybody except for Jay Hill, because he has already turned it up. We just want to recap. So we talked about the origins of the DC Loves Dilla series, as well as kind of just how most of us or all of us became aware of Dilla, and just kind of how the little behind the scenes on how the rehearsals went, and how John worked everybody who was there to death and made Aaron drive all the way to New Zealand and back every day. So
y'all making me sound like Jordan.
I mean, you bald headed like him. So
did you punch somebody in the face in practice or something? Did you punch somebody in rehearsal in the face?
Oh, hey, we're about. Hey, no spoilers. We're about to get into
no comment. Only Munch knows the answer to that.
Uh-oh.
Only Munch knows the answer to that.
Broke Steve Kerr's nose. He broke his nose.
So, like I said, we're gonna do this whole thing Sports and Things style. So nice and loose and fun. To the crowd, you guys get to play along Sports and Things style. Definitely jump in, throw in your comments and questions. As you see, we'll throw some of them up on the screen, and we might even answer some of your questions if we know the answers. Also, you can share some of your memories, kind of if you were there, what you saw, what you experienced. Definitely help us out. So, maybe it's something we didn't remember. So, anyway, on to the next segment. Turn it up.
Turn it up.
Turn it up.
Yeah. So,
it's full steam ahead, isn't it? It's not turn it up yet. It's full steam ahead.
It's full steam ahead.
Oh, it is full steam ahead. You're right.
See?
I was turned.
Read the
it
notes.
was me this time.
Read the notes.
All right. So yeah.
Okay,
that's cool.
Over.
Right.
I'm like, Aaron, man, I got to drive back to China tonight. Anyway, I'm going to ask a few of your favorite Dilla song to perform. So, Bora, what is your favorite Dilla song to perform?
favorite Dilla song was the last song I did. It was Bullshit.
Okay.
Yes.
Davenport. Shout out to her crazy ass. Yeah, that one. I mean, to be real, I don't even really, people in DC know Deborah Bond to do Deborah Bond things, and that's not usually me singing about bullshitting or even using that kind of language. It's all like, so I got to kind of go a little bit harder and just
Yeah.
aggressive with that shit. So.
You're a fucking lady. We get it.
Wow.
Okay.
I warned everybody.
Deborah rocked it. Deborah rocked it.
I warned everybody. J Hill is lit today. All right.
J Hill, passing along to
There's actually a funny story about India Davenport's performance.
Very funny.
It was, wasn't it? She was late coming up onto the stage. Like we started playing her song. I think she was doing sometimes the JDilla remix sometimes, and Grap Love of the host introduced her, and we started playing the music, and just
she nowhere to be found.
Looping. We're just looping, and at the time, one of the members of the DC Let's Dilla team, Yvette, I look over at her, and she's not at her post. And then later, I come to find out Yvette had to run downstairs and pull her out of her dressing room. She was still in her dressing room, and she came out with this. I guess it's okay.
It was the pre-COVID visor.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
It was a pre-COVID mask.
Yeah.
I dug the
She knew what was going
mask.
on. She had foresight.
She had the mask. And Dennis reminded me of this. She also had a dancer. She had a dancer with her that fell on top of Aaron. It fell on top of Aaron Harden. Because Aaron was playing my Fender Rhodes, and he had his keyboard on top of the Fender Rhodes, and he had to put like a towel down because it wasn't really secure. And that keyboard almost lost its life because
Sure, you ain't make that one fun.
Fell on top. No,
you saw your life flash before your eyes, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember looking back.
Hey, yo, you trying to do ballerina shit?
right. You're letting on this carpet and shit. It ain't working.
Wow.
This is my livelihood, lady.
Anyway, really?
Right on. Right
My
on.
bad.
So DJ Two Tone, what was your favorite Dilla song to perform at the show?
I think I forget which year it was. The year we had Robert Glasper as one of the headliners and one of the guests, and I got a chance to kind of grab his ear real quick before we I think during like sound check, and me as a DJ and just kind of having a history of playing with like bands and live musicians, one of the things I enjoy doing a lot is like doing live blends with acapellas over whatever the band's doing. So I rap with him real quick. I was like, yeah, so what you got going for tonight? What you doing? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this little riff, kind of bleed into Fall in Love and just kind of play that groove for a little while. I was like, well, yo, holla at your boy, I got the acapella, and, so he was like, yo, if you down with it, man, I'm down. So I was like, bet. I was like, just cue me in. He's like, yeah, just listen for the for the chords to start coming in. He's like, I'm just be riffing around for a while, but once it comes in, man, if you comfortable with it. So I think I at least definitely wanted to run it by John, like, so there weren't no surprises. But that was a cool moment being able to do the live blend with I'm sorry, it wasn't Fall in Love, it was the Look of Love, J88 joint. So he started playing the chords for that. Yeah. And then just started blending the acapella, and then eventually the band started picking up, after that. So that was a nice pleasant moment performance in one of those joints.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story there. Roddy.
Yo.
No, that wasn't the most. No, it really was a cool story. I
Oh,
didn't say
yeah,
bro.
okay.
I didn't say cool story, bro. I just said it was really a cool story.
Yeah, man, it's all
You didn't
good.
sound enthused. You should have let Jay say that.
Yeah.
Hey Jay, yeah, can you repeat what I just said?
No, that was some dope shit. That was some dope shit.
Thank you. Thank you for translating.
I'm gonna be the angry translator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get to talk about Dan Snyder today, so I can't,
Wow.
Please
Hey.
Here we go.
Please move on.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it also bears mentioning that it also bears mentioning that Roddy Rod was also he was also an artist too, not just a DJ. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yep. Hell yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was the first time getting to the question. The best song by far was the only song I performed on, but it was the most craziest was "Fuck the Police."
Yes.
And big up to my sister Messina, because she at time we were pretty much on each other like, yo, you better get this right. Like that's when I really I've always known that JD was crazy MC, but that those two verses in "Fuck the Police," especially the second verse.
The second verse.
I had to man the second verse. The second verse was nuts, and I think the first time we performed it was at Live, and this was when we had Dwelle and Rest in Peace Fight Dog, and it's on YouTube. Y'all Google it's YouTube, and it was probably the most craziest and dopest feeling in the world to like nail it and then look over to the side and see Miss Yancey like with the approval. And
right.
Messina nailed her verse like I knew she would, and I nailed mine, and we was like on cloud 9. That was probably the craziest. That was it.
Yo, on top of that, I remember I had to remember the rhythm of Dilla's verse, especially the second verse. And there's a part where he says, ill with the flows and ill with the beats, ill with the rubber, the solo, like that part. And I was like, I have to hit those hits. And I'm not kidding you. I played it in rehearsal. And on the show, Dennis nailed it with me. Like, no bullshit. Like that just tells you like the level of music. Exactly. That just tells you the level of musicianship in the band. Like it goes all the way down to the horns, Aaron Harden, the DJs, the supporting vocalists. Like this was a supreme level of musicianship on one stage. And I don't think a lot of people really understood what they were watching. This isn't just like a damn jazz band just playing some music.
This ain't a cover band.
This ain't no damn cover band.
Right.
This was like
this was
a family
to a great man.
Yeah.
Much.
So,
what was your favorite song to perform, Much?
What? What just happened? What just happened?
When y'all motherfuckers got it right, that was my favorite song to perform. Motherfuckers got it right.
He's like, what's my favorite song? When niggas showed up one time.
When niggas showed up, right?
Exactly. Right.
I love that.
Munch never watched.
Love that. I like
Munch never watched the show, man. Munch never watched the show. He was always backstage.
Shouts out to Munch, man. Like the level of dedication behind the scenes, man. I know we're going not to jump ahead, but I'll never forget that night at South by Southwest, man. Yeah. You were like, yo, we need a table. I'm gonna find a fucking table. Like, we're gonna find a table back here. Somewhere like it was, you were on it, brother. So yeah, props to you, man.
We gotta save the South by Southwest stories. We gotta segment.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother.
My bad. I didn't mean to jump ship there to Munch. Good. Keep
That's
going.
all good.
Yeah, so we're seeing a question coming up from Brian there. We're actually gonna answer your question, Brian. First, real quick, I just want to finish this question. Maestro Aaron Harden, what was your favorite Dilla song to perform? or is or was?
I think I'm with Two Tone. Actually, at least on the show that we're talking about. So that was, I think we were at the Fillmore that
That was
year.
the Fillmore.
Yeah, we had
Still
Glasgow.
was
We had man. That show was long as hell. I do remember that.
Oh God,
We
tell
had
me about that,
97 guest artists. So
dude.
That was the one show I missed. That was the one show.
Yeah,
This one's this.
yeah. For all that said,
I missed
though,
that one too, Jay.
That was the first time that I played with Sun though, and so I did Talk Box in place of Herbie on Get This Money, and
Get Money.
ever since I've been called Young Herbie, and so that was a dope moment.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've stayed connected through the years because of that, so it's sweet.
Wow, that is.
Yeah, that show was long because Munch kept adding artists to the lineup as the week of the show was going on. It's like, oh, by the way, Robert Glass is going to be on. Oh, by the way, Guilty Simpson's going to be on. Oh yeah, by the way, Frank Nitt's going to be on the show. I'm like, God damn, the show was 4 hours long. That was a long ass show.
Sorry, I had to.
I had to drive home after that Munch.
At what time you get home? 6:30
I mean,
a.m.
'cause at the end of the day, I was like, let's just make it a Detroit throwdown show. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how all that came together. And Glasgow was supposed to do it. Then he said he couldn't do it. And then he called me and was like, yo, so what's up with the show?
Oh, wow. Are you serious?
See, this is why Munch don't watch the show.
He was like, because he was supposed to do something with, he was supposed to go on tour with Maxwell or something like that. And then it didn't pan out. And he was like, yo, I'm available. What's up?
Oh, that's funny.
What am I going to do? Say no?
Right.
Wow. So much.
Actually,
I remember that was the show that Aaron did the thing with the vocoder joint.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was
killed it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dope.
Yes,
So Munch, while I got you talking, we have an audience question here. Probably want to let you take the first stab at it. So Brian Douglas on Facebook asked us,
BJ?
who have you guys?
BJ Rock.
All right.
What up, BJ?
All right.
I would say.
Oh, you see the question.
I mean, there's a few, but to be honest, I kind of wanted to. I really wanted, as much as I wanted Q-Tip. Me and John definitely wanted Q-Tip, but as much as I wanted Q-Tip, I also wanted Jay Electronica. Like he was just one of those. Like, yo, this dude is on some other shit, and maybe he didn't have a whole bunch of tracks with Dilla, but we just felt like, or at least I felt like, he would have been just super dope to have over Dilla Beats live.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I would say that's one of those cats that I definitely wanted to have on the show, and I ended up rapping to him because he opened for Common. I forget what year it was. He opened for Common. And then, we tried to make something happen, but it just he's kind of elusive. And so it just never happened.
Yeah,
I'll tell you who I wanted. I wanted Busta Rhymes.
Yes, sir.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I wanted Busta Rhymes to do a DC Loves Dilla so bad. And I was really close because I got in touch with Peter Rosenberg, who was going to be a host one year. But he had a schedule conflict, and he was going to talk to Busta on the show. And as a matter of fact, he mentioned it to him, and Busta said he was down. But Busta, he had. I think he wasn't going on tour, but I think he had like a recording session with someone like in London or Germany or something like that.
He wanted
to do it. Yeah, he wanted to do it. Yeah, he wanted to do it.
Well, we were trying, man. Like every year we would start off with a list and go down the list. And a lot of times what we ran into was a lot of cats were overseas.
Yeah.
Our show.
Right.
Like it never failed. Like that's because that was prime tour time over in Europe. And so we were just kind of,
who's left
stuck in that way. But we did try to get Buster, but Buster, you know, I talked to some of his people, and they were. I can't really go into it, but then, you know, there was the whole money, the whole money piece, and so, you know, he was basically blowing up the whole, you know, artist budget, and so just like, but we had a good situation, because that's, you know, because Mick came to do the show, and when Mick came to do the show, he was like, oh shit, I gotta get Buster to do the show next year or whatever. And so, you know, and that's kind of how we started to go down that road. But yeah, it just, you know, it just didn't happen. Needed some more sponsorship.
Yeah, it was the same thing with Erykah Badu too, I believe. So
yeah, but
we'll
I feel like that's how it was happening.
Might do another one.
Year by year. Like somebody, we would get like just that next level artist, and they would be like, "Yo, this shit is serious. Like this ain't some karaoke shit. They killing it over in DC. You gotta do it." And then you would get the next name. So even myself, it would be one of those, we doing this again next year, right? Oh shit, I wonder who we gonna get next year, because this shit was bananas this year.
Yeah.
So it would always give you that feeling like, yo, who? And John would purposely not say shit. One, because you can't guarantee shit, so I get that, but it would be that the day of, oh, just so you know, we got Michael Jackson. What the fuck? Like what? Like, like don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got him though. He coming on. Shit. So it's like he would keep you in suspense just because of like, yeah, I don't know if the dude is really gonna show up. So let's not say anything yet.
It was literally it was generally like a last minute decision. Like I think Munch confirmed that Common was literally at the 11th hour, or not Common. I'm sorry, Dilla was at the 11th hour. It was like, nah, Dilla can't do it. But whoever was on that show, I can't even remember who it was. We were just going to make them the headliner. And then 2 or 3 days before the show, I get a text from Munch at like 1 in the morning. He's like, Dilla can do it. And I was like, oh my God. So I had to get out of bed, and I had to completely redo the structure of the show for the rehearsal the next night. So it's literally like, it just comes down to the 11th.
I mean, the whole thing was just tricky, because I mean, you have artists who are doing what they do, and you know, if you're not paying top dollar, they have to kind of like weigh the options
for 1 or 2 songs.
And then you know, to be honest, sometimes, you know, I didn't know who the headliner was going to be, because everybody was kind of like playing the waiting game. Oh, if we go to Europe, then we can't do it. If we stay here, then we can do it. And then, you know, and then depending on who the artist was, if they were in town, you know, you have these radius clauses, which means that if your performance them until after they perform, you can't, you know what I'm saying, you can't announce that you're going to have them and they're performing like 3 weeks prior. So you have to wait. You have to wait. And then when you, you know, so that was a whole nother marketing process. So, you know, so we would just put it out there that this was the date, and we wouldn't say who the artist was going to be. There was a show coming. And then, you know, after the artist performed locally, then we would just go crazy. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times, ideally we would want to have at least 2 months, you know, even a month, but sometimes it would be like 3 weeks, and it was what it was. So, yeah.
From an artist standpoint, can I check real quick? Okay, because there's at least 3 shows you guys have spoken about that I wasn't on stage, and what was amazing about what you guys have done with the whole platform is that we didn't know, as artists in the city in DC, we didn't know who was going to be the headline. We didn't know what was going to go down. So the years that you weren't on that stage, once you've done it once or twice, it was like like the Robert Glasper. I was there in the audience, like, fuck, you know. Like that to me is just a nod to it was kind of like a cool dynamic to not know what was gonna happen every year. who's gonna show up, and like for performers, we wanted to just kind of be in the loop and just get that call to join it. So to me, like y'all did, even though I know you had last minute folks, there were folks you couldn't get for a performer that admired what you guys were doing. It was just so like you had us kind of all on the edge of our seats.
Who's next?
Who's gonna be next? And like,
Yeah.
I get the call, so
Mhm.
no matter
Mhm.
what. Although I would have loved in a
I've gotten
see D'Angelo there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of
that'd be
people.
crazy.
It's a lot of
We
people.
tried that.
A lot of people. Yeah.
Wow. So we
By the way, I've gotten a lot of I received a lot of phone calls from past artists who didn't perform a certain year. Like, yo, why didn't you call me? Like Munch and I had we had a text thread about a couple of artists who were like, they were boycotting DC Loves Dilla because they took it personally that they weren't on one year. And I had to explain to them, we can't have the same artist every year. We have to stagger it. You know what I mean? Because you have to read the audience. So that got squashed.
All right, so we had some more audience questions come in, so we can move on to the next audience question. So Jamie Frazier has a very good question for Munch and John and Roddy and all. Are there any plans to resurrect this show? I'll let you hesitate in awkward silence for a few moments.
It's
We got the
when
right.
we ended the show in 2000. When we ended the show in 2015, we always looked at it as not a guy, but a see you later type of deal. But we just wanted to approach the situation correctly because the reason why we ended the show was because of the band. They took on other gigs. For example, Dennis and I started touring, doing festival tours during the summer with Odyssey. Aaron Hart picked up a gig with J. Cole, and other artists other musicians started doing other things during the summertime. So we thought 10 years was a great number, and Common was the best artist to end with.
Yeah.
So at the end of that, we were like, well, what do we do now? Do we do 15 years? Do we do 20 years? So we're approaching 15 years, and Munch and I have been kind of brainstorming something, but we don't know what's going to happen with COVID. So we're treading lightly right now. We're trying to figure out what's going to happen. Maybe we'll make a decision by this summer. So we'll see.
All right.
JDilla don't like COVID.
Right. We don't know.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do, Munch. That's all you can do.
BJ and Gangsta Mittens, aka Monica, they're like, you got to give us a reason to come back. They're on the West Coast now.
Right.
Those are the homies. So.
If there's ever a reason.
Oh.
That's a very good question.
What'd you think, Munch? Like 2 hours, 2.5?
I wish. I mean, it was, the thing that I guess most people don't realize is that the whole thought process and everything kind of was like a year-round thing. So, when I wasn't producing the show, I was helping to market the show, because as much as, like I was just telling John, like DC Loves Dilla is kind of like a bubble. Like the shit is hot, but people think that Dilla is this bigger figure than he might actually be. You know what I'm saying? Like there's artists who you can say their name and you know exactly who they are, and they would, they pack a place with no problem. But there was so much educating that had to happen every time you stepped out to promote JDilla, that it had to be a year-round thing. So whether there was like some kind of outdoor festival and you were selling T-shirts, like you would have to educate people every single time because they don't know who the hell. Like people would be like, "Yo, I like that T-shirt." Like, but who's Dilla or what's Dilla? And so you'd have to educate people all day, every day, and then you hope that they remember.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get emails just so we could put them on a list so that when the show comes around, we could promote to them. So man, it never really stopped. Like even down to just kind of working networks to try to see how we can go to place, set up in places like sneaker. What was that sneaker thing that used to come to DC every year?
Sneaker Pimps.
Oh,
Sneaker Pimps, yeah. So we would go to Sneaker Pimps and set up a table so we could, raise money for the show and to get people to be more familiar with JDilla. And they didn't, it was kind of like how we were back when we heard Drop and Running. I mean, we didn't know who the producer was. And so it was that whole thing all over again. So we would go to Sneaker Pimps and set up and then hit people to JDilla. We would go to other shows and set up and hit people to JDilla. So it wasn't like it ever really stopped per se. It was it was always on. You were always on because you always had to educate folks and hit people to what we were doing. But I think it paid off, and I think 10 was just a really good number. And like John said, Common was like the quintessential. He was one of the top two. Like for John, I'd say it was like because John was like, "Yo, we got to get Q-Tip," and we were both like, "Yo, Q-Tip, Common, shit, that's a good look either way. So let's rock."
Yeah.
So we're going to get into some more audience questions a little bit later. So, but right now we're going to move on to our next question for the panel. So the next question is, we want the panelists to talk about the most difficult song to learn and perform. And I'm going to start off with Miss, now we know who we're talking about, Miss Bora Bond. No, not Munch, Bora.
I repeated some songs, so they weren't like that difficult to me. But there was the Badu joint.
Hey, Deborah, we're having a tough time hearing you.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Much better.
Yeah.
That's much better. Much better. There we go.
So the Badu joint. Feel me. I'm just gonna be an artist and just me. What's that called? What's the name of that joint?
Oh, you talking about
yeah. I don't know the name. This one is for
That
you want me.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing about rehearsal, Deborah. Like John would call out shit, and you like which the one that goes, oh shit. I don't know which number that is.
I don't know. I love the feel of it. It's a vibe, but it was just it had like for a singer, Jay Hill, what's up. It didn't really have. It wasn't melodic, so
right?
More like robotic. So trying to
structure
be entertaining, like there's for me like the melodies actually kind of help my body language. So like I remember coming out on the stage to that. We just did a little segment of it, or like a peek. It was real quick, and then we went into bullshitting. So then the drama came. But before that, like stepping out to that, I was like, what am I doing? Like it was just a little. I was like, I didn't feel locked with it. That was more of a personal thing.
Yeah. But the safety net for that feeling was the audience knew pretty much, like Dennis said, the first 30 minute and a half of what you were doing. So you had audience participation before you started the damn song.
Yep.
Right. So it was like, oh yeah, all right, y'all, let's go.
Exactly.
I ain't gotta say shit.
That helped me kind of keep my little swag because when the music started and that groove was so hot and you guys had everything so locked, I was kind of like, what? It was more like, bring it and match them vocally. And that was a little bit like, how do I do that when there's no real movement in the melodies? So for me, it was a little bit tougher, but the audience and the band, like it didn't matter. It was amazing still. So, yeah.
Can I go, or can I interject? Because I can tell you my.
Sure.
You're not on the list, Dennis. I'm sorry, you can't come.
Yes. Reject.
Wait a minute. All right. So the hardest song for me was I don't know. I remember where we did it. I think we did it at the Black Cat, but it was Serious. And I remember rehearsing that song and me and Brock trying to play that line together and missing it 85% of the time. And then just starting, so you get that, and then when you hear that intro,
I have the recording of that show.
Oh boy, it's like you're building up, like your hands getting all tense, and then you got to play that line for the entire song, and it's like, yo, I remember listening to it. Yeah, it was one of the most painstaking moments on a JDilla stage.
Let me quickly interrupt. John is starting to conduct rehearsal right here.
See?
On the live stream.
You missed the note, Dennis.
We're going to be here till 2 a.m.
Here's the funny
Trey,
thing.
your flute is flat, by the way.
Look, we be doing the song of rehearsal like, and we like, wait, it's go, like,
yeah,
fucker.
But you know who always saved you guys? Was Roddy and Two Tone, because what would happen is, even though they didn't do it in rehearsal, what they would do during the show is they would put on an acapella and just cut and scratch over it.
Scratch it.
And then all of a sudden, it would leave you guys. It would ease you guys up. You know what I mean? Like, for example, there's a song that we did. I think it was I think they played it in the intro. It was McNasty Filth. There's a time where Aaron and Dennis don't line up during one of the changes. You know what I mean? But what was happening on stage between Authentic, Lalo, and Camber, like, it just, none of that mattered. It was just the energy that everybody just kind of brought to the table. It didn't matter if somebody fucked up. It was just the energy that was on the stage at that very moment that just overtook any mistakes. And I didn't give a shit either if anybody fucked up. I was having the time of my life.
I apologize.
Right.
I didn't mean for Dennis to not know the song.
Wow.
Oh boy. So with that. So with that. The next
he doesn't know that I can mute his ass because I'm still in the administration.
Oh wow. So Aaron. So with Aaron weighing in, I do want to. The next person I want to ask is Aaron, and I know Aaron's. I'm a killer. None of this music was difficult to me. Aaron, go ahead. Let us know how easy it all was.
Not so, you know, from people's perspective, and maybe from everybody, for everybody, like the way that some of this is chopped up is so unorthodox. So there was always a lot of learning to do when it came to a Dilla joint. I know by far the joint that gave me the most problems, and I can't remember which one of his two songs that it was, but it was one of Miguel Atwood's arrangements. I don't think it was. It was one of them, and it had a solo.
You're talking about it was Oh, what's the name of that joint? So Fantastic Volume 1.
Something in Pucky.
Hawk and Pucky. Thank you, Two Tone.
So the thing about it is, I had learned the Hawk and Pucky pattern. I was great on it, but then it was like, yo, so why don't you do a solo over it? It's like, yeah, that is the solo. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, I remember that being a pain.
Yeah, just loop that, Aaron. Just loop it.
Yeah. Just play it. So just play it and figure something else out, and then come back in with the pattern. It's like,
okay, bro. You want me to do what?
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Wait, I got a question, Aaron. What was the joint that you when we did the JDilla challenge at my house? What was the song? It was the
it was Turn Me Up song. It was Turn Me Up.
Yeah.
It was Turn Me Up. So I challenged Aaron to play the Busta Rhymes Turn Me Up some joint that Dilla did.
I had bloopers in the beginning. I remember that.
Yeah. And he did it. He did it. It's on Instagram, isn't it?
Yes, you did, brother.
Somewhere.
It's
on YouTube. YouTube is somewhere.
Yeah, there it is. Dennis got it
There
right
it
there.
is.
That's it. Yeah, because I remember I put it in the chat, and then Aaron was like, "Really?" And he just played. He played the joint. He nailed it.
Yeah.
All right. So, DJ Two Tone, difficult songs to learn or perform? What you got?
To be honest, not really anything with the band per se. I would say like I always kind of felt like I always kind of nutted up a little bit on the DJ segment where we had to just do some, do like a little 5-minute set. And I think it would to me it was always, I felt like it just got so challenging because I had to find a balance. Even Roddy would be there with me too. Sometimes we had to just go back and forth, but finding the balance of like, all right, don't play none of the stuff that's on the set list.
Right.
That's one.
All this music that you
It's
get
like 40 joints right there,
No, right.
And then, but then, it's also hard because, for cats that are heads, Dilla and JD, it's hard not to want to play like, you want to find that balance of like, I can't be too obscure, but like, I listen to this stuff so much to like beat tape stuff doesn't even seem obscure to me. So like I'm gonna play this stuff anyways, or I'm gonna play this album cut from J88, or I'm gonna play, so it was always kind of hard finding, toting that line of like, again, I gotta make sure I gotta again look at this list again.
Yeah. Not
play that, but then, as a fan of Dilla, like what can I play that I feel like best represents, what I know as a fan, what's out there, and not also just not play the most obvious stuff either too. So
true.
That usually was like the tough part. And then to still also think about like, I still want the audience to kind of get into this, but it's hard when like only 10% of them even know what this track is right here that I'm playing, or so that was kind of the challenging part, I would say, most of the times for me. During some of the shows.
Wow. Yeah, that's a dope perspective. That's very interesting. But so why? Okay, Jay, can you Jay?
Can you sauce that up for him real quick?
Yo, that was like, just the way that you broke it down. Like nobody would ever think about it like that from a DJ's perspective, man. That was dope.
Man. Hey, thank you, man.
That's what I was trying to say. I mean, I wouldn't think of it like that, as a musician. I will add my 2 cents. I mean, what you said about stepping on the band by playing those songs, I mean, I can't count the number of gigs that during the break, the DJ comes on and plays the song that you're going to open with the next set. And you're like, wow, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah. I mean, I know about that from being on the receiving end. So definitely.
Yeah, that's a definite no when you spinning and you got performers coming up and it's like unwritten rule, you don't ever play anything from the performer unless you know for a fact they're not performing that song.
Yep.
You have to know that, yeah.
And me and Tone used to go over all the time, like, okay, what have we not played throughout the years? Or we would try to find like the most obscure Dilla joint to play.
That's what I wanted y'all to do. We got. That's what I wanted y'all to do. I wanted because I knew Roddy. I used to get like Roddy had all the Dilla joints, man. Like he would bless me with like all the beats that everybody was downloading from LimeWire or Napster, but he had like it was Roddy and Grap Lover. Grap Lover actually had Dilla beat tape he got from Dilla. Like Dilla wrote on the CD in his handwriting, like to Grap, and he let me copy that. And I was like, Roddy, just play that stuff because I want people in the audience to be like, yo, what was the shit that the DJ was playing like right before the show? Like I wanted the unheard shit that people didn't have.
Yeah, big up to Wadi and how shoes.
And house shoes.
From Detroit. I used to always give me alley-oops because I would hit up YG and house shoes religiously a week before, like, yo, we're doing this. You know what I'm calling for. He'd be like, yo, I'm gonna send you some stuff. And between we used to go back and forth and be like, yo, I got this. And
every year stuff new.
Every year, yo.
Like, what the hell is this? Yo.
Incredible. Yeah. I remember when we got the Mary J. Blige remixes that never came out. You remember that song? Like, spazzed out. The Close Comment remix with Mary.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yo.
There was a Lauryn Hill remix too that never came out too. Man. For sure.
Did she ever show up? Oh, wait, never mind.
Wrong show.
Still on the way, bro.
Sorry.
Still on the way.
Right.
It didn't come out.
Still on the way.
Yeah.
So it didn't come out.
Anyway,
so there you go.
Don't mean to cut anybody off, but we got more show to do. And so we have a short break. And audience, you'll get to see some more highlights from the DC Loves Dilla show. Thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with us.
We dedicated to these people out here in pain. Whether it's two of the money is out of pain. Now we all want to get it the right way. See it out here, I need it just a way. I'm on a first and call with the war pain. Niggas walking down the street until they feet stank. I got hands down here and a big bang. And I'm into the man with the soft shirt. And I'm over the shot that shit up. Don't get mad because we doing shit you just turn it up. Hey. What you say? Get this money. If it's that, what you gonna do today? Just say, hey, I wanna get paid. Hey, what you do? Oh man, you need to get back like the rebate. You need to step up like the whole place. Oh man, what you know about the great face? We got to wait on getting money like the free space. Cause y'all great party in the dark days. You see me with the dough, get it like a hard ass. More, and baby, fly like a hard ass. Money make the free goes raw best. Hey, radio for the ass like raw day. Every day the holiday. Like a horse, she was kind of like a dog. Thinking I was like a man. She's looking around. Now there she goes again, the note we see the old begin, and now the road around me begins to bring in slow motion with. Never see how much you walk. What is that out of my eye? Overlooking this ring on my feelings, no matter how much I try. Wait, no, I just have to pursue my mental princess when we was in it. But she was so low-key that she was all over my existence. For my distance, I desire her. She really inside her. I'll let her together. My dear, you do not know me, but I know you very well. Let me tell you about the feelings I will want you when I try. Only to do the gym, I said, hey. Cause I will let you know that love is true without you in it, I would be true. The only lying I would do is in the bed with you. Besides, to sit in the room who knows you did it. He has something bigger. The letter came like 3 days later. Damn. She keeps on passing me by. 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 Oh yeah, keeps on passing me by. She keeps on passing me by.
Man.
All right, so we're back.
Oh,
We're
that's
back
memory.
for our last segment.
Oh, back. My bad.
Yo, you know what's funny about that
That's
show?
PTSD. That's PTSD. My bad.
You see how live Booty Brown was in that? Do you remember the rehearsal
He
for
was
that show?
dead.
Aaron remembers. Aaron remembers. Booty Brown did
I
not
definitely remember.
want to be there. He did not want to be there, man. He was a wallflower. I really feel like he thought this was just a couple of kids who just wanted to play some Dilla music, and we were going to be performing at some
Karaoke.
bar with
They
like
weren't
20
ready.
people. They were not ready because when Booty Brown, I know Booty Brown smoked some weed in the dressing room, and then when he came down and saw that the joint was sold out or nearly sold out, he was like, yo, like this is some real shit.
It's legit. Yes. It
Yo,
is legit.
he was night and day. From that clip that y'all saw, that is not what he looked like the night before. Just want y'all to know that.
So,
Oh,
John,
really?
I haven't had the privilege of meeting Mr. Brown, but I will add that as a grown man, I'm not calling no other dude booty.
Come on, man.
It's not gonna
Come on,
happen.
man. You gotta respect. You gotta say the whole name.
That's his name.
Say the whole name.
That's
Yo,
his,
real quick.
that's his name.
He's gonna be
You gotta
Mr.
say the whole
Brown with
name.
me.
Call him play.
Yo, yo, that show actually was a real good testament to what Munce was talking about early on about the need to like educate people of Dilla and the legacy like over the years, because I do vividly remember that show. If you looking at that clip, it looked live as hell up in there. But prior to Farside going on stage as the known, legendary hip hop group headliner, that crowd looked like, like they were watching a TED talk for the first 2 hours.
next?
It was just like, and I vividly remember that. It was kind of like, yo, they're not giving no love to like everybody else doing all this other stuff and the stuff we were playing and then as soon as Farside hit, it was just kind of like, okay, this is what y'all came here for. All right.
By the way, that show, Dave from Daylight was at that show, and that's what got him to do the
next show. The next
joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Daylight.
That's what I'm saying. Like again, it was like, oh, okay. You go up one level, the next who gonna be there next year? People talk, and even the artists talk. Like, yo, I did this joint in DC with these cats. I don't know who the hell any of them are, but they serious about this shit and they pretty good at it. Yo, you might want to get down on this. And then you getting calls from, oh shit, I heard y'all doing a little something over in DC. Can I be down?
Yeah,
that's right.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Daylight was my favorite.
I remember when me and Two-Tone took a trip to check out the Detroit Dilla event.
Oh, I know this story.
And
I know this story.
And the crazy part about it, that was an ill trip, and it was definitely weird to be there because they definitely didn't give it up like how we give it up in DC. And I remember specifically like I forgot who was introducing us to folks when we got there. Grap was hosting it, But I remember like every time they said DC loves Dilla, like people kind of parted the way to make sure like, oh, this is like, go would you like some next beverages? You know what I mean? Like they treated us with top notch, you know, because they knew that where, you know, the what they've heard from these is like we didn't play. And YG, like he co-signed it in the beginning. He was like, yo, y'all are the first ones to even do a tribute for Dilla, even before the Donuts Are Forever event in New York. And the DJ event. I'm speaking about DJ event, but I think we was held in high regard way back then. Then when the show
that was 2011.
Jeez.
Yeah, Roddy, I'm glad you brought that up because after this show, I'm actually hosting the after party. It's called PG County Loves Dilla, and it's in my mentions. So get at me.
PG County Loves Dilla. Munch, did you have anything to do with that? PG County Loves Dilla. You ain't had nothing to do with that. Please say you ain't had nothing to do with that.
I was gonna say, Munch, don't try to take credit. That's mine. Okay, it's all mine. All right.
Oh, here we go.
So
as the timekeeper, I'm gonna say we got to move on.
Yeah, okay. I was trying to get there before you called me out, but anyway, next
right,
question. It'll be our next and actually final question. We're gonna have a discussion about final question for the night. We will be back tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time, same bat place, all of the bat stuff. So anyway,
just a couple different bats.
Yeah. I can't think of anything witty, so I'm just going to say something normal. The DC Loves Dilla did a South by Southwest performance.
Oh, boy.
So everybody talk about your experience with that performance. Memories, good things, bad things. Throw in some, let's get some, not too much drama, but maybe a little bit of drama up in here. And with that, I'm going to start with Jason Hill.
Dang, man.
Government.
So the thing I remember vividly was we were down there with RE.
Yep.
So
that's Rare Essence for the uninitiated.
Yeah,
that is Rare Essence,
right? For the unknown.
DC
They weren't, but they weren't performing with us. But I think they were there. But
they performed
Essence
after.
was basically performing. Yeah, Essence was
It was the same line. It was the same lineup, but they went early.
It was the same show. It was the same show.
Right.
And Black Alley too.
Yeah. But I remember like people going like, okay, so what are y'all gonna do? Because we know what the go-go is, and we kind of familiar with, Black Alley slightly, but what are y'all gonna do? And nobody really had any kind of understanding of what it was, of course, outside of DC. And when we got up there, I remember it was stuff being cut at the last minute because it was literally like a mashup show.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So we had 20 minutes. We now have 2. So we're going to do, I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Right. So this song is cut. This song is cut. We're going to kind of transition to this one. So it was a whole different atmosphere from what we were used to, but we still killed the shit. And everybody was like, yo, like, is there more? Like, nah, they told us we ain't had no more. So if you want more, you gotta come follow us. So fuck y'all. So it was kind of like, all right, y'all want to treat us like that? That's cool. Because it was like nobody was a headliner. So they didn't know what to expect. It was like, oh, this is DC Loves Dilla? Like with a question mark. Okay, whatever that is. So, I mean,
I'm going to tell you how.
I remember the energy, though. I remember the energy when we finished was like, yo, y'all killed that shit. All 3 minutes and 30 seconds y'all had, y'all killed that shit. That was the thing that was amazing to me. It's like, you ain't seen shit.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you all the fucked up shit that happened in the span of that. So, yes. Because the preparation was fine. The preparation was fine. We flew everybody down there, down to Austin, Texas.
Oh man!
And what was fucked up about it was the crew who was supposed to be helping get stuff on, get stuff off, who was supposed to be producing the event. They were the South by Southwest crew. Mm-hmm. And what was jacked up was there was another band not affiliated with DC, and I can't remember what the name of the band was, but it was some punk band, and they went on, I think, second. I don't know who went on first, but this band went on second, and then Rare Essence went on or something like that, and then Odyssey went on.
Yeah,
Odyssey was about to go on. The punk band did. No. He went. Odyssey went on before us. The punk band went over their time limit. The punk band was supposed to. They were only supposed to do like 20 minutes, and they ended up doing like 35 to 40 minutes. And the crew that was working never kicked them off. So then Odyssey came on, and we were talking. Before he came on, we were talking, and he was like, "Look, just tell me how many songs you want me to do." And we were like, "Just do your show. Just do your show. Just do however long." And he did 30 minutes. As a matter of fact, I think he cut the last song, so he did like 25 minutes. And then there was an issue with the Fender Rhodes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but there was an issue with the Fender Rhodes. Like they didn't know how to put the Fender Rhodes on the stage. And as a result, it was like, okay, now we're killing time with the Fender Rhodes. So that killed
so much shit.
That killed more time. And by the time we were finally able to have like a line check and we were finally able to start, we had like 5 minutes or 10 minutes left in the show, and we had to squeeze in Roddy MC and Authentic and Jay Hill and whoever else was being featured on the show. And by the end of it, I was like, well, this fucking sucked.
We flew down here for okay. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Wow.
I'm like, this fucking. I mean, I enjoyed the Rare Essence set.
Oh yeah, they killed.
They fucking killed it.
They crank like shit.
They fucking killed. As a matter of fact, the bartender. One of the bartenders who was working there is from DC, and he moved to Texas. So when he heard that Rare Essence was going to be, he was like, "I want to work the show that Rare Essence is doing." But all that to say, that show was fucked up.
I can tell you what I remember. I remember a few things. I remember all the cables that were on the ground from them trying to switch the stage.
Oh my god!
It was a clusterfuck of cables. I remember having to wait around all day to sound check. That was kind of weird because they showed us the video. It's like this is what I'm playing. They just put us in a waiting room for like 17 hours. Yeah. And we had to wait to go set up. The whole thing was we could have set up. We could have just hopped on, hopped off. It wouldn't have been, So shout out to whoever was state manager for that event that day. And I remember I still have it somewhere, but the set list that John wrote out, and then all the scratched out songs that we couldn't do because it's like we got 5 minutes. It was like 17 songs on the set list. I think we played like 3. Yeah, we played like 3 songs, and then we had to get off stage. So, but it was it was
whack, man.
But,
I mean, the food truck mall was on point though.
It was, yes.
It was.
The food truck was
yes. Whoa, hold on. There's certain spots you start touring around. Like I feel like people catalog where the food is at. Veracruz taco truck.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember
between them and whatever hotel we were staying in had open bar happy hour.
Yep. Yeah. I totally remember
that. Do you have a memory, Munch, of South by Southwest that you want to share?
It was good. I mean, I don't know. It's probably a bunch.
Right.
Man, like that shit was. So I mean, first and foremost, because I was co-curating that showcase, and I was like, RE. I thought RE should have been the headliner.
That's what I thought. That was the biggest problem.
That's exactly what I thought.
Big problem.
That's what we thought was going to happen.
I guess the thing, but when we were talking to the to the South by Southwest folks, they were like,
you guys are the headliner. And then I was just like, well,
didn't know that.
Okay, if that's what y'all want us to do, then that's how we'll roll. But I thought Ari should be the headliner, and that's why we ended up with so much shit on stage, because Ari rolls deep, right? So it was like it was like 13 of them. Like we're already deep.
Yeah.
Right. So you trying to, and the stage wasn't really that big. Like we're accustomed to being on like a 30 by 30 stage. You know what I'm saying? Like that stage was like
it was like 7 by 7.
Size 7 by 7. So just imagine all of us trying to be on that stage. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it was so crazy, and there was so many cables laying around, because you had to get all the RE stuff off, and it ain't like they playing track.
Right. It ain't like they playing tracks or anything.
Tracks. So you would basically, we had to take all of their stuff off and then put all of our stuff on. And I remember Zach being in the back of the stage.
Yes.
MPC, and he was
wasn't hooked up.
Something like something wasn't working.
Oh,
it was
my
like,
gosh.
Shit. But I mean,
yes.
Yeah,
I was standing, I was right there next to Zach, and I was livid because, again, all the cables on the floor, and I remember asking one of the dudes that was setting up, that one of the stage managers, I was like, "Yo, what cable do we use to plug into?" He's like, "Just find one."
Pick one.
I'm like, what do you mean find one? Like, I don't even know where these in, man. Like, come on. And so Zach,
the worst was the dude who was. The worst was the dude who was trying to figure out the Fender Rhodes, and I just remember Aaron's face just sitting there like, what is going on right now?
It was like
they had no idea how to
I was like, "What we plug this up with?" And he was like, "I'm whatever you see." I don't know what you mean, sir.
Oh man, what is this?
So the crazy thing is, the stage manager was like a student. Like these are kids, like
volunteer.
They volunteer from the local university, and they, they're not like professionals who know how to bang it out. Like they're fresh, they're green, like. Oh my God. And so that's what made it so much crazier than it needed to be. You know what I'm saying?
It's all good.
But I mean, it was a dope experience, man. Either way,
that's what it was.
And I mean, for me,
I just situation was an experience.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I felt like y'all deserved it. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all as a band, as a group, as a unit. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no way I could justify not having DC Loves Dilla group on that show and on that stage. I felt like beyond what go-go means to the city, like y'all represent and what we represent on the hip hop and the soul and the R&B tip is powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was fucking with us straight up. Yeah. And so I felt like this was the time that y'all needed to shine and be on that stage at South by Southwest and be able to put that in your back pocket, as you know what I'm saying, like, yeah, we did that shit. You know what I mean? And as a unit and run with it for what it's worth. Like y'all deserve that. And so I just felt that whatever sacrifice needed to be made, it just needed to be made so y'all could shine. Point blank.
Wow. It was an experience, to say the least. And I wanted to just address there was a question from earlier about whether we thought about taking DC Loves Dilla on the road. We've been talking about that for a few years, so obviously, it's kind of run its course right now. But if we do decide to do something, we'll address that when it happens. But we definitely have thought about taking DC Loves Dilla on the road.
Yeah,
but
I
just wanted to address that. I know we're at a time limit right now, so.
Yeah. So with John's point, we've unfortunately reached our time limit for the night, but it was a beautiful show. Just for me, hosting the show and not having had the experience to have. Taking part in the production. I'm sorry, guys. In all seriousness, no. I mean, I have worked with many of you already, and some of you, a couple of you, maybe I haven't had the pleasure of working with, but most of you I have. And it was just good for me to hear your stories and your perspectives, the ones I haven't heard yet. Some of the behind the scenes ones that will never be told in this kind of forum I have heard, but that's not what we're here for. But anyway, I just want to definitely highlight that tomorrow we are going to be back here. YouTube, Facebook, everywhere, live, 7 p.m. again with the Sports and Things crew and even more panelists. And we have a special surprise guest panelist that you don't want to miss. So definitely tune in tomorrow. You thought this was dope? Tomorrow's going to be dope as well. So with that being said, I want to thank Roddy, Two-Tone, Bora, Aaron Harden, and Munch for joining us. And, of course, always my bros on the Sports and Things crew. But before we end, I'm going to turn it over to our senior pastor, the Reverend Dr. Dennis Carter, for the benediction and closing announcements. Thank you all.
Amen.
Put your hands together.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming in. Wow.
There you go.
That is hilarious.
That's hilarious.
All right, just
thanks to everybody who's tuning in on Facebook and all the
thank everybody for tuning in.
Yes,
we
thank you,
appreciate
everybody,
guys for watching on Facebook.
DJ, Monica, John, Matt.
Yeah.
I also want to thank Trey for moderating this panel, and
Yeah, thank you, Trey.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I apologize on behalf of the DC Loves Dilla crew for not having you on stage with us any of the years that we did it. Maybe next year. Anyway.
You mean on behalf of John?
I see what
You
you
can just
did
say
there. I
on
see what
behalf
you
of
did.
John. That's fine.
I have to and again, thank you all for coming on the panel. We do appreciate it. Just a few notes. This is Sports and Things. We want to make sure that we thank the people who support us. And that is Unhinged Sports Network. You can catch us every Saturday at
Ain't
12
we number one on
noon.
there? We number one on there, ain't we?
Yeah, we always
we killing it.
we do well on that. You can check us out every Saturday on Unhinged Sports Network, 12 o'clock, and I think on every place you can find podcasts. So Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts,
Even Pandora.
Dog,
Yeah,
come on, man.
Pandora. No, that's right. That's right.
For a hard time. They picked this up. Nobody else would. Also, like Trey said, tomorrow we'll be back on at 7 to 9 with some panel guests. Some of the musicians that were on stage, Lanita K, Aaron Broadus, Camber, Slim Cat. And I'll save a couple of the surprises for when you guys tune in. And that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys. Also, thank you to Fubo TV, our partners, and Fanatics.com. We appreciate them for supporting us, and we should appreciate you guys for tuning in. We appreciate the panel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody for checking us out. Yeah, for sure.
Miss y'all, man.
Get together.
Likewise.
Good night. Thank y'all.
Likewise.
Thank you, Bora.
Don't
Thank
say
you,
it.
Roddy, Two-Tone, Aaron.
Two-Tone, John
Thank you,
Lane,
guys.
Others.
Mr.
Yes,
Turner,
yes.
my brother.
Appreciate
y'all.
all y'all energy.
Aaron.
Appreciate all y'all.
Run the
energy.
music.
Make sure you stay safe. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Tell
Oh
you-
my God, wear your masks.
Wear your
Oh, so
mask.
the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl.
Wear your mask so we can do this
protocol,
again.
You're not supposed to yell at the TV. Just stomp and clap if you like to play. Do not yell at the TV for the Super Bowl party.
Thank you, Munch.
What Jay said.
So,
All right, y'all. Good night. Run the music.
Hey
violin.